This is how you reboot a horror franchise. The most thrilling opponent the Predator's had since Arnold Schwarzenegger. Predator franchise finally hits its stride. After 32 years of disappointment, have we finally got the Predator movie we have all been waiting for? Not quite. Hello, this is Schizofenik and welcome to this evaluative review of the much anticipated Predator prequel titled Prey. I will attempt to offer a deep analysis of the film, giving my personal opinions on what I liked and disliked about the movie before awarding it a star rating. Before I begin, I must warn you that this review contains spoilers and will assume that you have actually seen the film. Therefore, if you are yet to watch Prey, you may wish to switch off now. Since 1990, the Predator franchise has been dying a slow and agonizing death, as each sequel has disappointed the majority of its fan base. We have been starved of a good movie for over 3 decades now, but despite this, we have continued to hunt for that third successful film that forever seems to elude us. After the franchise seemed to self-destruct in 2018's The Predator, things could surely not get any worse. Upon seeing all the positive reviews on Dan Trachtenberg's Prey, I finally began to have some hope for this prequel. Set in 1719, the story revolves around Naru, a young Comanche healer who has aspirations of becoming a great hunter. After witnessing the arrival of the Predator ship, Naru mistakes the vessel for a Thunderbird and interprets it as a sign to prove herself. In an attempt to step out of her brother Tabi's shadow, Naru perseveres through a series of failed hunts in order to gain recognition as an accomplished warrior. It is not long before she realizes that she must protect herself from something far deadlier than any predator from Earth. The creature design offered a new take on the classic Yautja, and at times I felt like this individual resembled something out of Stranger Things. Dubbed the feral predator, this incredibly muscular hunter used its 10-pack and bulging muscles to gorilla press a grizzly bear with ease. Despite preferring a leaner, more graceful-looking Yautja, I did like the look of the feral and felt that it perfectly suited its environment. Recent films have been obsessed with offering audiences various types of Yautja, ranging from super to genetically spliced and even evolved predators. But can I ask you, what was wrong with this predator? Why are filmmakers so determined to move away from the classic? Regardless of its design, I felt that the Predator was revealed very quickly and shown too often throughout the film, which allowed the audience to become accustomed to the monster. Either way, I really liked the feral's journey, as it seemed to work its way up the food chain in order to establish itself as the ultimate predator. It moved from snake to wolf to bear before hunting the deadliest prey in man, or in this case woman. Interestingly, this Yautja seemed to allow its prey to strike the first blow in every exchange, almost to gauge what it was up against before it fought back. I did like this concept, as it elucidated the feral's honor code and confidence. Despite possessing a more primitive arsenal, this Yautja introduced audiences to some awesome new weaponry, and I really liked its fan-like bladed shield. Its munitions added to its aesthetic and further suited the time period of the movie. Naru was an interesting heroine with a decent story arc that audiences could get behind. Her goal of becoming a respected hunter represented her as a positive role model, however it was also a little repetitive at times, as the point was driven home continuously throughout the film. Her relationship with her brother, and in my opinion the film's best character, was a real plus, and more should have been made of this, particularly as they fought the Predator together. In an attempt to show character development, Naru's transition into a skilled hunter became rushed and unrealistic. She literally goes from being a calamitous wannabe hunter to an absolute assassin. In the film's opening, Naru fails in her pursuit of a deer, but still insists on hunting a predatory animal. She quickly gets her chance with a mountain lion, but becomes distracted by an unexplained explosion and falls out of a tree at the pivotal moment, cracking her head on a rock, which knocks her unconscious. Undeterred, Naru, much like the more successful Yautja, moves up the food chain to a bear, where she gives away her position the first chance she gets by snapping her fragile bow. Instead of running, Naru would spend the next 2 minutes trying to repair her weapon, almost getting herself and her dog killed. With no alternative left, Naru is left cowering under some branches before the Yautja inadvertently saves her life. Therefore, the entire first act of this movie spends its time establishing Naru as an unsuccessful hunter. With this in mind, the audience have to somehow accept that Naru can successfully defeat an experienced male hunter who massively outweighs her in hand-to-hand combat. Yet this is exactly what happens in the very next scene. He literally offers her no competition. Later on, she becomes even more lethal and annihilates 4 of the French voyagers who are keeping her hostage. I did not realise that Naru was also versed in ninjutsu. At times, I actually thought I was watching Scorpion from Mortal Kombat.
Get over here!
If destroying 4 men was not impressive enough, Naru, jumped from a height of 30 feet ambushing the predator. Furthermore, Naru's Scorpion impression continued as she went toe-to-toe with the oversized Yautja, using spinning ninjutsu attacks and unrivaled
brutality
to get the better of the unsuspecting predator. Eventually, she did use some ingenuity to outsmart and slay the beast.
Finish him! Scorpion wins. Flawless victory. Fatality.
But what was the point in using intelligence? She already proved that she could kick its ass in hand-to-hand combat. Even Sarah Connor, Ellen Ripley, Dutch Schaefer and Mike Harrigan could not make such light work of their adversaries. Naru seems deadlier than all of them.
Scorpion wins.
As I predicted in my previous video, we have yet another overpowered heroine who did not necessarily ruin the franchise, but certainly ruined the end of this movie for me. No human should be able to go mano a mano with a Yautja, and this is not a sexism thing either. I hated it when Hanzo did it, I hated it when Royce did it, and I hated it here. You can't establish that an alien assassin is faster than a racehorse, more agile than a chimpanzee, and stronger than a gorilla, then expect an audience to believe that a 115-pound person can kick its ass. No human would have any chance against such a creature. I don't care how anyone tries to justify it, the final fight really did not work for me and made another Yautja look weak on the big screen.
Get over here!
Both Amber Midthunder and Dakota Beavers gave excellent performances in their respective roles. In fact, I really enjoyed Dakota's portrayal of Tabe and wish that more was made of his character, who was very believable as a Native American hunter. For me, he was the real hero of this movie, and it's a shame that both he and his sister could not have defeated the Predator together. However, the same cannot be said about the performances of the other characters. The acting from some of the French voyagers was truly awful. They were your typical cackling, fat, bearded, dirty, cigar-smoking bad guys. The acting was so obvious and over the top that it was hard to take seriously. This film was beautifully shot, using the magnificent landscape as the backdrop for the grotesque violence. The cinematography, setting and lighting during the scene where Naru and Tabe were being held captive was truly epic. The way the out-of-focus horsemen are decapitated in the background, the panning shot of the riderless horses running through the trees, and the mist or dust all worked in tandem to give the brutal battle an eerie atmosphere. The quintessential moment for me was when the Predator burned its way into visibility as the monster was revealed. Absolutely magnificent filmmaking here, and my favourite scene by far, if only the whole movie continued in the style of this almost gothic hunt through the forest. The special effects in this film were rather hit and miss. I liked the look of the Predator, but not its cloak effect, which revealed far too much and truly defeated its purpose. Also, instead of the electrical style transition, it had this unusual hexagonal fire effect, which altered the original spark animation by Donald Pointer. In my opinion, the film's most impressive visual effects were during the Predator's cloak movement through the trees, as you saw the branches bend as it navigated the canopy. However, when Prey's CGI was bad, it was really bad. This was particularly the case with the animals that looked nothing like the creatures they were representing, lacked verisimilitude to such an extent that it actually distracted me from the events taking place. These effects were a real low point for the film. The film seemed to sacrifice tension and suspense for all-out action, as the Predator preferred to charge into battle rather than utilise a stealthier approach. On the plus side, these fight scenes were incredibly gory, as the Predator brutally butchered its victims in a style that was typical of the franchise, which would have pleased fans. However, the scenes of graphic violence also extended to the Yautja itself, who was dismembered in the film's climax. Why do so many Yautja lose their arms? Is this revenge for Dylan in the original movie? Anyway, it was just something that I noticed. The film moved away from Alan Silvestri's iconic score, which is perhaps overused and a little dated for modern audiences. Although I did miss the classic Predator theme, I did think that the ominous Native American drum beat suited the film and intensified the action. After 2018's comedy The Predator, I am pleased to say that this was the least humorous Predator movie in the franchise. I did not laugh once during the entire film. Even the original had some humour, like Stick Around and Knock Knock, but this film took itself very seriously, which was so refreshing for a Predator movie. Now, a question that many people have been asking is if this film is woke. Well, as I predicted, Naru was overpowered, and aside from Tabe, there were no positive depictions of men. The male characters were either villainous fools or arrogant misogynists who were all brutally killed for underestimating Naru. However, in this film's defence, 1719 would have been a very sexist and racist time amongst other things, so I will let you decide for yourself if you think the film was woke or not. There were a handful of references to the previous films, with the most contentious being the retcon of the pistol from Predator 2. I personally felt that the inclusion of Raphael Adolini's gun was unnecessary and did nothing for the film, but I guess fans and film franchises alike can't leave it alone. It seems like everything has to be linked today, even when it doesn't fit. Other nods to the original movies included the possum false alarm, as well as quotable dialogue like "Come on, do it" and "If it bleeds, we can kill it," which was the cheesiest of them all. Again, I thought these were unnecessary and often did not suit the characters who were delivering the lines. Finally, I really liked the end credits, which were designed like cave paintings and served to summarise the story of the film. In particular, the final frame depicted ancient people looking to the stars as other Yautja arrived on Earth. At times I felt like Prey missed its target audience and may have even alienated a fraction of the die-hard fans. Despite this, Prey may have attracted new fans to the franchise, thus creating anticipation for future sequels. Please do not get me wrong, I did enjoy elements of Prey and it is a good film. It is certainly a massive improvement from 2018's Abomination and has ultimately given me newfound hope that a great Predator movie can still be made. I can certainly recommend this film, particularly for regular filmgoers. If 1987's Predator is a 5-star film and 2018's The Predator is a 1-star effort, then Prey sits right in between with 3 to 3.5 stars in my opinion. I know that this review will upset a lot of people and even cost me subscribers, but I'm not in it for that. Perhaps I'm too much of a fan, nostalgically comparing everything to the first 2 movies and ultimately ruining all subsequent Yautja films for myself. Personally, I hope that you love the film, because that is a win for the franchise, which means more Predator movies will be made. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.